Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister addressed solution in the works for Tobago elections deadlock. This story takes the lead in our 1044th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 5th February 2021. Details after this break.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world? And you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
Welcome back. The government, through the Parliament, will intervene in the Tobago election deadlock following the January 25th election. This from Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, who says the matter is to be resolved in the shortest possible time. More from TV6's Elizabeth Williams.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, speaking at a news conference this morning, said he has sought senior counsel advice and has also held talks with the Attorney General on the way forward for the THA. 2 amendments are to be made.
I am at the position now where I spoke to the Attorney General before coming to this meeting. I'm advised that a draft amendment could be before the Cabinet in a matter of days. The Cabinet will look at that amendment. There will be 2 amendments. One is an amendment to break the deadlock, give an authority so that in the instance of a deadlock, as exists now, how that deadlock can be broken.
The boundaries of Tobago will be affected.
There's going to be an amendment to change the number of seats. Thankfully, that issue had already been dealt with in Tobago. Thankfully, there has been a series of consultations in Tobago. Those consultations resulted in draft bills being drawn up. Those bills have ended up in the Parliament and they are in and being actively worked upon by a joint select committee of the Parliament.
Tobago has 12 electoral districts. Dr. Rowley said the Cabinet will consider what the number will increase to.
In there's a recommendation that the number of seats in Tobago should be 15. The Cabinet will consider that, since we, by common sense, are required to adjust the number from an even number to an odd number. We will consider that, and of course, we'll take it to the Parliament where it will be debated.
Once Parliament agrees, this will now authorize the Elections and Boundaries Commission to make the necessary changes.
Then that will now authorize the Election and Boundaries Commission to treat with Tobago in a seat arrangement, which is different to what it is now. That will be the authority for the EBC to put Tobago, whether it is 13 or 15 or 19 or whatever seats. That is what the EBC will be authorized, and only then will the EBC act on anything other than 12 seats.
The EBC will have to submit a report to Parliament revealing the new changes.
The EBC will now have to put to the Parliament a report saying what number of seats, where these seats are, how many electors in each seat, and so that's what the report normally is. And once the Parliament accepts that report, then no, an election can be called.
The Prime Minister has this message for Tobagonians.
Just to say to the people of Tobago, it's a temporary situation. This is temporary. And there's no malice involved. It's just the law taking its course. All I could say is that ask the Tobagonians to be patient for a few weeks, and this thing will sort itself out under law. We, no matter how we want to do otherwise, we can't act outside of the law.
Dr. Rowley said the Joint Select Committee will continue its work on the Tobago Autonomy Bill. A May 31st date was previously given for completion. He also said the government has the majority to pass the necessary changes in Parliament. Elizabeth Williams, TV6 News.
Any hopes of the pending distribution of a COVID-19 vaccine in Trinidad and Tobago would mean Carnival, as we know it this year, were dashed by the Prime Minister as he said, "What we don't want to be a participant in is a carnival of coffins." The Prime Minister said the focus should be on Carnival 2022, since by then either the COVID infection levels would have dropped, the vaccination levels would have risen, so that this country is in a state where congregation is not a problem. Jewel Brown of TV6 News reports.
Let us not forget that as we miss Carnival, what we don't want to be a participant in is a carnival of coffins.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has responded to a question from TV6 News during a news conference on Wednesday about suggestions that Carnival be held later this year in the wake of the pending distribution of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. On Wednesday, Health Minister Terence Dialsingh announced new details about the distribution of the vaccine.
We expect, all things being equal, with the information coming out of PAHO and WHO, that we should receive our first tranche of between 100 to 120,000 doses of vaccines, all things being equal, by the end of February, beginning of March.
The first phase is to be followed by a mass distribution of the vaccine. During the spotlight on the budget last September, an announcement from the Prime Minister regarding Carnival 2021, inclusive of the Parade of the Bands, which was scheduled to take place on February 15th and 16th.
Unless there's some dramatic wind that will blow across us, whereby Christmas pandemic would have been a thing of the past, Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago in 2021 is not on.
In light of the pending vaccine distribution and Dr. Rowley's announcement last September about the cancellation of Carnival 2021.
Just wondering, for those who are very much into Carnival, who may have been advocating for some type of Carnival, would the rollout of the vaccine or threshold number of persons vaccinated have any impact on such a decision later on in the year or not?
Above my degree.
With respect to Carnival, I have said very early what the situation is with respect to Carnival. Nothing has happened to cause the government to change that position.
The Prime Minister said the problem is, in his words, rooted and fertilized by the congregation and closeness of people where COVID-19 is concerned.
That's an oil and water situation. Carnival and COVID don't mix. And as far as I'm aware, a carnival as we know it is a coming together in the closest of ways with the greatest of interaction. Virtual events are as long as they're not breaking the law, people are free to do what they think they want to do, but just remember that it is not the carnival that we been accustomed to.
He said he has seen all kinds of creative suggestions for Carnival, as he made an apparent reference to one from the Downtown Owners and Merchants Association.
I even saw somebody saying we could have single file Carnival, where we can have bands and mass and we go march in single file. Well, I must say that I don't know that Trinidadians and Tobagonians could have a single file. But lots of suggestions being made. And some of it might come to pass and be quite useful while not breaching the protocols.
Dr. Rowley said Carnival is an event that results in 1/3 of the population gathering together over a season, one that provides employment and income earning opportunities for many people.
And notwithstanding how the loss of that has serious economic consequences and individual hardships, the alternative is something that we have to stay clear of. And the government's position is that we are going to have to miss Carnival in 2021, and I hope that we're planning for 2022, because hopefully by then things should have changed sufficiently.
Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
In other news, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, CIBC, planned to sell most of First Caribbean International Bank, FCIB, for $1.6 billion has been rejected by regulators. Both institutions on Wednesday announced that the proposed divestment of 66.73% of shares of FCIB to GNB Financial Group Limited would not be proceeding following this development. It marks the second time in about 2 years that CIBC's effort to reduce its Caribbean exposure has failed, after the Canadian bank abandoned a decision to list its Caribbean subsidiaries' shares on the New York Stock Exchange in 2018, citing market conditions at this juncture. While this transaction would have supported First Caribbean's long-term growth prospects, it is only one way of supporting growth for our bank going forward. CIBC has held a majority ownership stake in First Caribbean for a number of years, and there exists an excellent working relationship with a shared focus on meeting the needs of our clients, said FCIB Chief Executive Officer Colette Delaney on Wednesday. Over in Guyana, Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee David Patterson will have to step aside from that position and make way for another member to take up the mantle. This is according to the Clerk of the National Assembly, Sherlock Isaacs. HGP's Wendell Badri has some details.
Isaacs explained that the motion was properly moved to have Patterson replaced as chairman.
And the question is if the motion was in order. Yes, it was in order.
He outlined the next steps to be taken to have the chairman removed.
A member of the Public Accounts Committee would now have to come to the Assembly with a no confidence motion. And there again, it would be debated, as was allowed in the last one, and it would be voted on. And a simple majority would have him removed.
Minister of Governance and Parliamentary Affairs Gail Teixeira had this to say with regard to the debacle in the Public Accounts Committee, PAC. While information in the public domain suggests that Lennox Schumann, who is also the Deputy Speaker of the House, could be selected as the next chairman of the committee, that would mean that the government would have to make an amendment to the standing orders of the National Assembly to allow for the chairman of the PAC to be selected from either among the main opposition or the smaller parties that comprise the opposition, since Section 82(2) of the standing orders of the National Assembly states that the chairman of the PAC must be a member of the main opposition. The smaller parties, through an adjournment of their list at the recently concluded elections, share one seat in the National Assembly on the opposition bench, which is currently represented by Lennox Schumann, leader of the Liberty and Justice Party. This newscast reached out to the Minister of Governance and Parliamentary Affairs for a comment on the matter, but she informed that she was engaged with several meetings while asking that we return a call later. Nightly News returned several calls at the time suggested by the Minister, but our calls went unanswered. We then submitted our questions via WhatsApp message, and that too proved to be futile. While Minister Teixeira moved a motion at the meeting of the Public Accounts Committee on Monday to have the current chairman, David Patterson, removed as chair, stating that, and I quote, "We have lost confidence in him. Members on the opposition bench comprising the committee have expressed their full confidence in Patterson." After a debate ensued between the committee members, the clerk was called upon to offer guidance on the matter, which he did, paving the way for Patterson to recuse himself of the meeting and subsequently forcing its adjournment, as no other member of the opposition would take up the chairmanship position. Efforts to contact Mr. Schumann on the matter also proved futile. Wendell Badri, HGP Nightly News.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world, and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now makes it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket, and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.